We knew we were going to retire internationally. It was always the plan.
Having my freedom and doing the things I wanted to do in my life was more important than trying to continue to build as much wealth as I could have.
What we were looking for ourselves, we decided to show the world.
And you do have 2 dogs as well, because
We do.
Yes.
on top of that, it's the whole family. Yeah? Kiss on the cheeks or hugs?
Oh, kiss on the cheeks.
It depends on who it is. But
Well, hello, Lauren and Julie. Thank you for coming today. Well, it's been nice. You've been traveling a lot, so we should have met in Paris, but then we meet today in Bordeaux. So you're the embodiment of that Schengen Shuffle that we'll pretend to say you've created, didn't you, Warren?
well, I think we helped popularize it. I don't think we knew if anybody ever said it before us. However, I did double check that with AI, and apparently somebody had mentioned it somewhere else. So we will just say we popularized the term Schengen Shuffle because somebody else out there has put it in a magazine like a few years before us at some point.
But it's more romantic to say that you created it.
Yes,
For
absolutely.
me, you did. Well, actually, what is that all about? Because, people who know you may have seen that, but...
Okay, so I'll field this one for the moment. As an American, we can travel to so many places in the world with our passport. However, when we go to most countries, we're limited to 90 days, and typically have 90 days per country, except for when we come to the Schengen zone. So when we're in the Schengen, the group of 29 countries here in the EU, or most of them are the EU, obviously not all Schengen countries are EU, we have to look at those 29 countries as one country. So we can only spend 90 days in the entire 29 country zone here in Europe, and that's really quite frustrating. So for the Americans that have the dream of saying, I want to go and travel through Europe and I'm going to spend, a year going from country to country. Well, you can't do that unless you get residency somewhere, and then you have to have the residency laws you have to follow there. What you have to do is what we call the Schengen Shuffle. Mm-hmm. So there's some countries within Europe, Britain, Montenegro, Croatia, Ireland, Albania, Bosnia, Macedonia, Serbia, that you can go to within Europe and leave the Schengen zone, spend some time in these countries, and then you can come back to the group of 29 countries and spend more time in France. So if you love France and you don't have residency here or you can't do it for some reason, Britain as an American allows you there for 6 months. So you go to UK and you can bounce back and forth between France and UK and have your life that way, or you can choose another country. So we have types of people that will travel full-time, that do slow travel. Then you have people that just want to be in one country, like maybe go from Italy to Albania, back and forth. And it's not just Americans that do Schengen shuffling. It's basically anybody that does not fit into the EU parameters of being able to stay within the Schengen. So it could be Australians, it could be Canadians. We have people from all over the world based on how their passports will allow them to travel, shuffling, and we typically will do 90-day shuffles.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And actually, you, in your particular case, you ended up, I think it was Montenegro?
We did. That's kind of unusual though, because in 2016, we decided to buy a property in Europe, and we did it strategically because we tried to scout around for years from 2008 onward to figure out where did we want to buy. We knew we were going to retire internationally. It was always the plan from very, very long ago for us. And so at the time, Montenegro was offering 183 days a year that you had to stay there and retain your residency. But they changed that in 2019. So we did buy a property in 2016 with the strategy that we'd live there 6 months a year and we'd live and do as we please 6 months a year somewhere else, or travel all over. And when they changed, we were like, uh-oh. But our intention was to originally retire somewhere. But as we tell our audience all the time, we could not choose just one place. We're very different people with very different likes and dislikes, and especially weather.
Oh, yeah. That's very important.
For me, weather and food, paramount.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that. I mean, I think, for the audience, I think Julie has some French genes nicely tucked in somewhere because food is important.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so, yeah, you're right. But basically, you've done a lot of those videos, which I think, I mean, I didn't know about that stuff when we first talked a few years ago. But that also allows you to enjoy living in, well, let's say Europe, like you were saying. I mean, Schengen is a very, because that is European. I mean, it could have been simple, but no, that wouldn't have been European. So we like the Schengen and EU is not the same thing. Some country in the EU aren't Schengen and some country in Schengen aren't in the EU, obviously. But that allows you to live like you've done those videos like with less than $3,000 a month and stuff like this. So it does also enable that slow travel. And
so we try to spend a month to 3 months in a location so that we can really see what it's like to live somewhere.
Integrate into society.
We're not trying to just see the tourist places and take off. I think I was explaining to you before, when you're a tourist and you come somewhere, a lot of times these folks will just get off the plane, they'll go to their hotel, they'll go to all of the hot spots, they'll watch the people flutter around a little bit, and then they'll go back. To me, it's the same thing as like going to an aquarium. You're going into an aquarium, you're watching the fish swim, you see the coral reef, and then you walk back out of the aquarium and go on your life. They never even get in the water. So when you're slow traveling, it's like you're showing up and you're at the aquarium, but now you're jumping in the water. You're going to go to the grocery stores. You're going to get to know some people just because you're around for a while. Sometimes you get to feel assimilated into the system. I think in Serbia, for example, I think Julie felt guilty leaving from being a regular, going to the farmers markets and getting to know all of the vendors, that when it was her last week there, she felt like she had to go and say goodbye to everybody.
Yes.
It's, you start building those ties in the community. And
actually, speaking about that, like building ties and then jumping into the water, well, I don't know if I should say Schengen or Europe. I'll choose Europe for the sake of... But what is actually one of those main differences you felt compared to the US? Because, we didn't say, but I think they picked up the accent. You're both from the US.
Yes. I'm going to answer part of this question with the previous question because I realized I didn't answer part of your other question. $3,000 you mentioned. We thought life in Europe was going to cost much, much more. And when we did our early retirement, we imagined life could be $7,000-8,000 a month is kind of what we kind of were thinking we would be spending if we were fluttering around Europe. Because we're doing the Schengen shuffling, a lot of times when we're outside Schengen, we're doing less than $3,000 a month, and then we're in Schengen, maybe we're doing $3,500 a month. But I think our life, unexpectedly, because we're doing the slow travel, getting better rates on staying places longer, and getting food at the grocery stores, and we eat out maybe a third or a fourth of the time, but we're making foods, we're having picnics, we're doing things more like a local. Our cost of living is greatly reduced.
We go and we enjoy something out at a cafe. We might have a coffee, a tea. We might go for a lunch, but it's not every meal for us. And if we did that, we'd probably be huge.
The thing is, we're not trying to live like tourists coming here. And so if you want to actually try to live like the French or like the Italians, wherever you're going to go, you want to do it like they do. And
you don't want to just be in the tourist spots eating the tourist food, because trust me, there is a thing called tourist food. It is very different. They expect you to go once and that's it.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah. And we're talking about this, and it's funny because we have a French saying, in French, it's in French, but I'll translate. It's basically, do you think I'm an American? Which is literally because it's not negative. I mean, not necessarily, but it's mostly because we see all these American tourists who come to France and have like 2, 3, 4 times more money or even more than the average French person. And then there is a whole industry around those guys tailored to provide services which are crazily expensive. So we're talking food, we're talking obviously hotels, there's a whole industry around that, because they know, well, you guys on average can spend a lot more than the average EU tourist.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're right. I mean, it's definitely, there is like the American tourism.
And I think a lot of the reason, and I want to say it's fake wealth sometimes. I think a lot of people from America will come here, they'll save up their money, but they'll be coming with their credit card. And they'll be basically paying with tomorrow's dollars today to have these experiences. So they may not be more wealthy than the average French person per se, but the French person or the average European is not breaking out the credit card and is taking from tomorrow to pay for today, like some of the Americans will do. And because they're coming to Europe for maybe the one time in their life, they are going to spend more stupidly than a person that is coming here to stay long term. And so they are definitely going to outspend the average French if they think, hey, this is my one time ever coming to France, and they're going to blow their wad and blow whatever they have in their account.
Well, yeah, unfortunately it makes sense. The bright side to this is that it is very deeply rooted into the French culture, that Americans are one of the oldest allies, and like I'd say the average French person really loves Americans in general, American people. So in a way, we give back. But you're right, we don't have credit cards basically. I mean, here all we have, we do, but it's marginal. We mostly have debit cards, and that's it. So it is also a foreign mindset to us. It's completely alien, like spending money you don't have. We do have loans, but so we don't understand that logic, and that's why we think Americans, they look so wealthy when they're here, because they can spend a lot, and in a way we're baffled. We're like, oh.
Well, so Julie and I, we've dabbled with real estate in different countries. We have realtors that we work with, have done videos with, showing what properties are like in different places. And in most of these countries, when you're buying a home, you come and you pay your cash, and that's a foreign concept for some of the people when they're watching our videos and they want to meet our realtors. They're asking, what kind of loans can you get in these countries? Well, a lot of them, you're not going to get a loan. You come and you pay cash. So in some places it's like 50% or something, but it's a foreign idea that most people in Europe are coming in and paying cash or taking very little bit in loans to buy a house. That this is just something that is different in America. In the United States, it's a 30-year loan. You buy your house and you're paying for 30 years.
Yes.
Well, and on top of that, you're in a way, we did mention the budget. For example, the 3,000 or 3,500 a month. You very often manage to stay under, and you do have 2 dogs as well, because on top of that, it's the whole family. Yeah. So it's like Araya and
Katie.
And Katie, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Arya was originally rescued in Ecuador, which ironically, after spending almost 5 years in Europe, we're going to go back to South America for a couple of years here soon. But she was a rescue, and they're interesting. They've been to 30 countries, and then Arya, who's on the floor, which I don't think you can see, she's a bit bigger. She's been to 29 countries. So Katie has Canada, where Arya came after the fact, and so she does not have Canada on her history. However, they have Bulgarian pet passports.
They do.
So for the EU.
They're European.
Yeah, so they are. We have EU pet passports for them, which allows them to travel all over Europe without too many headaches, and we go by car most of the time, and
that's
so
been
it makes
incredible.
it easy.
I'd say price-wise, because maybe you have had pets in the US. Cost of vets, or I don't know. Did you have any experiences?
I will tell you, we've had several. I'll take this one for sure. We have had several. We've had emergency visits, and I will say it is such an extreme difference from the United States. For example, she got very, very sick. We had to have an emergency visit in the United States just to walk in the doors, just to grace the presence of the doors would be $350 if you're coming in emergency. For her, all in all, by the time it was said and done, this is ultrasounds, this is everything, we paid $95 in Ukraine.
But that $350 in the U.S. wasn't going to...
Oh, that wouldn't even start to pay for anything other than...
You would have been in a couple $1,000s by the
Yes.
time you were leaving.
Yes.
Oh, well, from your experience, is there a huge discrepancy, in terms of pricing, price of living, price of food? I'm talking about the basics, but is there a huge discrepancy across, various EU countries?
EU, yes.
Yes.
Yes, there is a big difference between that and the United States and also just EU itself.
Within Europe, yes.
We see when we were in Poland, it was certainly much less expensive than parts of Germany. I can say Portugal was much less expensive than France even. So
I think France is one of the most, by definition is, France and Germany are supposed to be the two most expensive because the most population, the two biggest as well.
Yes.
Well, both economic-wise and people-wise.
restaurants, I definitely see quite an increase here compared to Portugal. Portugal is quite a bit less. Italy potentially on par in most cases, I think.
Well, Italy is difficult because it seems cheap like in the US, but then there is the tip that you have to pay on top, which is not in France where it's all inclusive. So it's sometimes difficult to compare.
Yes, the coperto in Italy, and you have couvert here. But couvert, like you just said, is all inclusive. Yeah. So it is a difference because I didn't notice that at first. And I was like, wow, they're going to add another €3 on top of this per person, but they didn't. And then I noticed this little tiny language in the bottom about it being included, where in Italy, it's very different. You're €250, €350, €450 per person additional.
Yeah, I like the lack or the tipping less. I mean, every once in a while you have a place where you tip in France and there's and to kind of let you know that tipping is appreciated. But seeing the price, and even if you're not really paying attention to what the prices are, it's nice to not have to do math at the end of it and say, okay, how much do I owe? Was it worth this? And the way that the wait staff here works and the way they help you is much different in the U.S. In the U.S., they are constantly coming to your table, trying to make sure you know that they're alive, they're there to help you, and they're coming over, interrupting, and they're always coming to see you, which, it's nice. They're trying to give you customer service. But then when you're also done eating, they're bringing you the bill and you're feeling like you need to go. And
they want you to go.
They want to free up the table for the next person. And in Europe, you come, you sit down, you hang out, you have your food, you talk. You actually have to sometimes hunt your waiter or waitress down. It's not that they're ignoring you, but they're not trying to rush your experience. And I think it's hard sometimes for Americans to understand they're not getting bad customer service when they're in Europe. They're just getting the typical type of treatment that you come, you sit down, you're not rushed, you get your food, you take your time, and it's not a hurried experience and that you have to get through. And the wait staff is not there trying to hustle you to hurry up and get a tip and to do things differently, but this is just a slower, better way of life. Build the tip into the bill, so you never see it, and then you take your time and you enjoy yourself, and nobody's rushing you out of your table.
We mentioned something else, and you're completely right. I mean, it's funny because it works the other way around. When I go in the US, like I feel like I'm being pressed to leave the premises even if it's empty.
Yes.
But different culture, I suppose. But you also, it reminds me that you told me you're supposed to be early retirees. Yeah. So we were talking about this because you've been doing this for how long? Remind me.
2020. We retired March 9th, 2020.
5.5 years, going on 6 years.
Okay, so how has it been? How has it worked out actually? Because you seem fairly busy for retirees.
Well, we never planned it this way, and Warren he needed something to do with his time, he started a YouTube channel, and of course I came along. And at first I wasn't too excited about it, but I've gotten used to it, and I actually love to meet the people. That's one of the biggest benefits of all of it. And then we just kind of fell into little things, and a lot of it became what we were looking for ourselves. We decided to show the world. So, for example, we were curious about, hey, what does it take to live, say, in France? What does it take residency-wise? Could we live there should we want to? And then he reached out to different people, and little by little, we kind of just made it evolve.
Yeah, I still call this a hobby, but we had a friend that came to visit, and he corrected us when I said this was a hobby. He says, no, you built a business, and it wasn't supposed to go that way. So I still consider myself retired, but yes, we do a lot of things where we're dealing with a lot of professionals, different attorneys in different countries, talking about everything from insurance and residency and home buying and cost of living, but
and you decided to use your insurance license.
So working with international health insurance has been something that wasn't something I ever thought I was going to be doing, but I've helped about 400 of our viewers and our Facebook group members to obtain insurance for their needs. And actually, with Fabian here, you're a partner in my group of businesses here. Yes, you are my French connection. So so when I'm looking at France and in this world here, I'm typically going to you as my expert here for those looking for French residency and coverage. So it's we've met some fantastic people, not only professionals that we've met through our YouTube channel, but a lot of viewers we've gotten together with. We built so many friends of fantastic people, travelers all over the world that have shared their lives and experiences with us on our channel too.
It's a lot of fun.
We may not be the biggest channel out there. No. We just try to be very informative, and the folks that come to our channel, they're coming because there's a purpose. They want to know what it's like to live somewhere. We're not the people there to show you all of the touristy stuff all the time. We do show some of our tourist stuff, but our focus is letting you know what life is really like and to show you how to do it if you want to do it, whether it's slow travel and whether it's how to have a car traveling around Europe or how to have insurance coverage or how to do the Schengen Shuffle or find residency in a country that you like.
Yeah, no, right. And it's funny, it's what drove me to your channel, like again a few years ago. That it was genuine. Like I can tell you were doing it. It was not for the money. I mean, that was a side hustle. Those stuff or recommendations you're doing, and you're not recommending people because they pay you, but because you do feel like they are the right ones for the job. And that's what I felt when I reached out, and that was honestly amazing. And I see all the comments. People love you. Again, I think because you're really trying to put this message out there. This is great, and this is exciting. Speaking about exciting, I mean, because you've done it for more than 5 years now. What would be your words of encouragement you would tell to anyone who's watching? If they want to consider slow travel, moving to Europe, or do the Schengen Shuffle like you do? Well,
I want to say if you're financially able to take off and live your dreams, and if it includes traveling, to do it, because you're only going to live once, and the sooner you can do it, the better, because your health is not guaranteed as you age. So I retired at 51. She retired at 45. We could have continued working. I was making fantastic money in those last years, but to me, the idea of having my freedom and doing the things I wanted to do in my life was more important than trying to continue to build as much wealth as I could have so I can work an extra 15, 20 years and hope that I've still got some health and strength left to do the things I want to do. We've climbed volcanoes. We've been in the Amazon jungle or rainforest, whatever you want to call it. We've seen so much and done so much that I can't put a price tag on them, and I don't regret ever leaving work early. But again, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know how to be financially sound. And if you're not, if you want to travel and retire early, you need to start planning as early as you possibly can.
Definitely.
We started about 10 years before, or actually maybe 12 years before we retired to prepare for this.
Yeah, you said it made it. So I remember it was amazing when I first met you, and I was like, wow, they're really doing it, like living in between countries and then traveling Europe and seeing all those different places.
And with dogs.
And with dogs. And also, for example, I remember one of the very first things we were talking about was like having a car with a US license in Europe and stuff like this. So you overcame all those challenges. And just because of that, I think it's definitely something worth checking. And we'll get back to that, or to get in touch with you guys. Before we do that, I love doing this. I have a quick fire round of questions for you.
Okay.
So, I'm getting very serious here, trying to get my questions, because this is very important. Feel free to answer both. So we're in France now, so you have to be cheeky. Are you rather like croissant or pain au chocolat?
Pain au chocolat.
Croissant.
They divided.
I like the options of putting cheese or sweets or different things on the croissant, or just going plain.
Okay, I'll go with Julie on this one. Okay, so, well, we just mentioned the dogs as well. So what was the most, I'd say, surprisingly dog-friendly, let's say city, not country, because it's a bit...
I can easily
you've
take
described
that. Krakow, Poland.
Poland.
Poland shocked me to no end. They let them in everywhere practically. It was incredible.
And this is, half of it is in Europe. I will say Istanbul was
Definitely
fantastic with dogs too, shockingly, because I wouldn't expect... I was not expecting Istanbul to be so dog friendly, and we went to so many restaurants that they basically begged us to come in with them. And I would have thought, just from what I would have perceived as the culture before ever going there, that this would not be a country that would be so open to your dogs coming
So
into
friendly.
places.
Well, it's funny because we did mention that before. But I'll ask the question again. Where did you get the most attention from fans, or, whatever, they directly know the channel or not?
Well, I'm going to say Montenegro. We have a lot of people. We've had huge Christmas parties, and even for Thanksgiving with our viewers and stuff. But we've done a lot of videos with Montenegro. We own a home in Montenegro, and I think we've helped to bring a lot of attention and people to that little country of 600,000 people there in the Adriatic. And
Beautiful
but
place.
we've been spotted in a lot of places. Ukraine before the war was one of the
We were.
and actually in Serbia too. So when we first came to Europe, we were surprised to be getting recognized so early on, almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So it's interesting. We don't think of ourselves as being famous. We're not the biggest channel out there. We have maybe about 3.7 million views on all of our videos combined, but our viewers are all over, and they're traveling, and they see us, they find us, and of course we're on Facebook, so some people can figure out where we are on there as well.
Okay, this one is going to be divisive. Kiss on the cheeks or hugs?
Oh, kiss on the cheeks.
It depends on who it is, but
Good.
can I get a hug and a kiss sometimes? I'm sorry, honey. I only hugs and kisses from Julie.
Yeah, jokery. Cheese board or hot dogs?
Cheese board.
Cheese.
I wouldn't touch the other.
Yeah. Well, I think cup of tea or espresso?
Espresso.
A cup of tea.
Oh, okay. Well,
I told you, we're opposites.
Well, okay, we're done with those questions. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your stories and your journey. If anyone wants to reach out with you guys, where can they find you?
Well, they can go to warrenjulietravel.com. They can email us at warrenjulietravel@gmail.com. And we have our Facebook group, Expat Slow Travel Nomad Network by Warren and Julie. And of course, our YouTube channel. Just look for Warren Julie Travel. You will find us.
Yeah, you're just everywhere. So good. Again, thank you so much. Well, hope to meet you soon again.
Thank you for
absolutely.
having us.
Thanks, Vivian.
Thank you.